Like you were on the Oxborough panel, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Do you have a professional relationship with any of the scientists who were criticized during ClimateGate?
I, as a member of the paleoclimatic community, have an acquaintanceship with many of the people that were mentioned in the emails. You're probably aware that both Dr. Malcolm Hughes and I are from the University of Arizona, and that we both have professional relationships with the Laboratory of Tree Ring Research there.
Have you co-authored papers with Dr. Hughes?
I have co-authored one book chapter with Dr. Hughes.
Has your work relied on information or data from the CRU?
No, it hasn't.
Pardon?
No, it hasn't.
Okay. The tree ring data and the hockey stick graph were directly called into question by ClimateGate. Have you relied on any of that in any of your professional work?
The data that myself and my students have produced have been at times part of these very, very large compilations of data that have allowed us to assess the nature of climate variability over the last 500 to 1,000 years. The hockey stick per se is never quoted in my own professional work.
Okay. What did the panel learn from critics of the CRU scientists during its review?
What I think the panel took away from the critics of the CRU scientists is that, in particular, that what we discovered was that, for example, the archiving of raw data and the development of a documentation on computer code such that it could be widely distributed and understood by the general public was something that for years had not really been a high priority. Often it was unfunded by the kind of scientific funding sources that were available. And what was clear to the panel was that the stolen emails, as well as other things, other events had motivated both scientists and science funders to do more public archiving of data.
Did the panel interview any of the critics of the CRU data?
No, that wasn't our charge. We were charged to
Well,
look
why
at
not? How can you get an objective viewpoint if you just look at one side of the issue?
The charge to the panel was to look at the scientific integrity of the publications of the CR unit, and we fulfilled that charge.
Well, then that was an extremely limited charge, you know, that preordained a conclusion. Was there any analysis of the actual emails or the biases that they exposed?
That was not part of our charge.
Okay.
And that was actually part of other kinds of inquiries that have gone on.
Now, were you aware of any of the biases of the other members of this 7-person panel?
I believe that the panel was chosen to minimize bias.
Well, Lord Oxborough has strong personal and financial interests in anti-global warming policy. He's director of an international environmental organization called Globe International. He's also chairman of a green energy firm called Falk Renewables and president of the Carbon Capture Storage Association. And there was an article that appeared in the Times of London on April 14th where Lord Oxborough himself even told the university that he was unfit to chair the panel because of conflicts of interest, and warning the UEA that people might question his independence. Were any of those issues raised, either on Lord Oxborough or any of the other members of the panel?
Those issues weren't raised. What we were focusing on was the science of the Climate Research Unit as revealed in their publication record and in their day-to-day operations. And Lord Oxborough was actually functioned very much as someone who has a PhD in earth sciences and brought his scientific mindset to that task.
Well, if he's a director of an advocacy organization called Globe International, that I've had meetings with and tiffs with ever since Kyoto, you know, together with the intertwining of you and other members, I don't think that this was an objective review. You know, I don't know how universities in the United Kingdom get to the bottom of potential scandals, but I don't think our news media here in the United States would allow any university to get away with a panel that would come to a preordained conclusion, and I yield back the balance of my time.